You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching the Meta Show.
Oh shit, we're live. Hey, we're here. Ah, there's things.
Oh god, it's happening. It's happening
Yes!
again. It's
I know,
Saturday
we're here again.
already. We are here. I'm broadcasting live, of course, from the club, as one does. And we have a bunch of really awesome things going on this week. For those of you who have not been keeping up with the cool shit that's been going on the INN Twitch, we have new subscriber badges. So everybody who is a subscriber actually now has a nifty little thing that increases in awesomeness depending upon how long you've been with us. So if you want to test it out and you're a subscriber,
There's
you can
the 2-year one.
type something in chat and you can see exactly, like, you get the like scales and color and shape, and it's like,
Oh wow, there's a Triforce for 3 months. That's awesome.
It is, basically, yeah, it's pretty neat.
I saw the 2-year one yesterday, but I didn't see the other ones.
Yeah, there's like 5 different levels of it. So like intro subscribers, and I think there's one after like 2 months, 3 months, and on up with that.
Holy crap.
So we are, Law, why is he dressing the same as Time seems a red lover? This person seems like he understands EVE Online and knows a lot about me. I would never, ever, ever wear red a lot. Whoa, okay, so now everybody's like subscribing like crazy. That's
28
awesome.
months, Sadis. Holy shit. Thank you, Sadis.
That is awesome. I'm going to actually bring up the ticker so I can make sure that we're not going to lose anyone here. Wow.
CS
Cap Training
Shuffle,
Meta Show,
16?
2-month anniversary. I'll take it. Booyah. Okay. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's figure out what we're going to be doing today. We've got a pretty interesting show today.
Stuff today, yeah.
I'm gonna do some shout outs though, because again, whenever we have anybody who is joining the channel, and we're having a lot of people who are subscribing, resubscribing, things like that, throw some Black Eagles up in chat. We are working on getting you guys some new emotes. I'm also pumped about that. After the creative department has finished the subscriber badges, which they clearly have, we're now going to work on updating those, updating emotes. We're going to get some commissar action here. Should be good. So real quick before we go to the overview, I lie. I always say that we're going to give shout-outs at the end of the show, but we talked about at the end of the segment, but we saw so many subscriptions.
Yeah, we have 2 years right there before we even get started. Like, this hero's throwing money at us.
It is totally time to give some shout-outs. So let's see what we got. Hildefer for 24 months. We got new follower, Elude Stalwart. We actually got a follower animation, which I'm pretty pumped about. EXE Villain for Cap Training Meta Show 2-month anniversary. He'll take it. Boney did nothing wrong. Save Burgita for kids and give it back from a subscription from Herfley. J-Dogs D1, which of course Sadis, been with you oh so long. She saw C Shuffle for 60 months, and bunch of followers, bunch of love. I can't actually shout out how many followers we've gotten because that is a crazy pile of followers. So yeah, I appreciate all now, I think. Of that. Karma Fleet is recruiting. Yeah, again, guys, if you want to subscribe, you do need to actually remember to press the button. It will not auto-renew. So we're going to have the Cap Trading Op coming up pretty soon here in the window behind us. You can see the 2 forces of the Imperium are squaring off on the test server.
Yeah, they haven't started yet. I'm still waiting for them to come in. Lazy asses.
And wow, more subs. Okay, I just lost track. 20 months for Hound Blix. That's awesome. And 5 months from Lomar Turris. Thank you, Anis Bill. You're the one who is. You look good. I'm glad that you like the red shirt. So news. This is something I'm really excited about, and it's something that I think has been neglected in the EVE community. Today we have Twizzlespark on, not as a guest for the entire time because he's going to be tired because he is in Korea, and it is really late over there. But we want to start doing an international news segment in the Meta Show, and on INN Twitch we want to actually start streaming people playing EVE Online in their native language. For highlighting parts of the EVE community that English-speaking members of the EVE community might not be aware of. So we have in what a lot of us in Goonswarm call Moon Time. We don't really broadcast much in Moon Time, and I'm like, why the hell aren't we showing our boys and get them on Twitch, and also let them speak in their native language. Like, you're a Korean streamer, you're a Korean corporation in Goodswarm, fucking stream in Korean. Like, let's leverage this sucker to highlight the awesome parts of our international community. So if you're interested as being a streamer and you are from Chinese speaking community, Korean speaking community, Russian community, Eastern European communities, part of the Imperium, or just interested in getting and helping out with IN and Twitch, I'm going to go ahead and give the normal recruitment link. If you can follow this link, it's not just for writers, it is for streamers. There's a way to get in touch with us. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that, and we're going to start having international news segments on the Meta Show, starting with this one, where we will talk about what is happening in the EVE community in these non-English speaking areas of EVE, which is substantial. I mean, Boat, how many... Boat, you spend a lot of time talking to the Russians, don't you?
Yeah, sometimes. That's the thing, is there's a ton of Russian community people, and a lot of the Russian community, like right now, it's 4 p.m. here, but for them it's like midnight already. Like, even though EVE time, it's 2100, like it's way later than midnight or further, because Russia's a huge-ass country.
And Twizzlespark, of course, is coming from Korea. Like, it is.
Australians,
like,
there are a lot of Australians in EVE who are on the same time zone as Korea in most cases. So yeah, there's a lot of players that just get missed.
We just got a donation here from Kim Jong-un. America bad,
Yes.
DPRK best. Who care? We eat rock when we adore a leader.
Thanks, Shirar. Shirar always comes up with the best names for his donations.
That's awesome.
It's so great.
And the Poxbox 3 months maximum ceiling.
Yeah, it's interesting too, because when you mentioned Moontime, a lot of streamers that stream EVE don't stream in that time zone, even though they are all from that time zone. So like, the Australian that's really popular that streams in Euro time, I can't remember his name. Zarvox. Mm-hmm. He's Australian. Lives in Australia. But yeah, he streams in a time zone that's not his, because he feels like the only way to get viewers, or content in EVE. So it's interesting to see that group come out. I hope they come out of the woodwork.
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, my attitude is we aren't actively streaming during those times currently. Within Goonswarm, we have like 1,000 members in the People's 1,000 characters in the People's Liberation Army, which is a Chinese organization. We have, of course, Dodco from Korea, who Twizzlespark is the CEO of. We have a tremendous number of people we've got a huge Hungarian community, we've got a lot of Russians, we've got an awful lot of French people. I would actually love to just watch somebody play EVE and speak French a lot, because I love French. But anyway, Donald Trump, $3 tip. Can I stream my huge alternative fact language? Boat doesn't work with me if he talks Russians, because we don't talk to Russians. That is hilarious. Again, you guys can see the cool donation graphics. We have 3 donation graphics now. So we should stop talking about what we're gonna do
and talk about what we are doing.
What we are doing, absolutely. So let's see. What do we got today? The top story, Boat, what is the top story?
So the top story today is going to be the fall of EVE alliances. There's several that have died this week, and we're going to get into those really in a little bit of detail.
Smells like dead alliance.
Yeah, then after our top story, we'll move into the EVE Online International Community segment that we're going to be adding now every week. We're going to try and get an international community guest. Then we're going to talk about in the EVE Online segment, or the... Nullsec Power Hour. We've got... Ooh, I just lost my page. Shit, hold on. You can tell me.
In the Nullsec Power Hour, we're going to be talking about Squiz, who is opening up donations for the front page of Zkill. We are going to be talking about, speaking of the international community in Goodswarm, PLA from our Chinese organization, losing like 7 Rorquals at once. Oops. More dead Rorquals, this time on the FCON side.
Lots of dead Rorquals.
Lots of dead Rorquals. Rorquals are dying everywhere. It's pretty crazy.
We also saw FCON get farmed by their Masters try this week.
Ah, yes, that is the challenge of being
so
allies.
That'll be hilarious. Then Goodswarm hit a new high. I swear it's like the U.S. Stock Exchange. We're trying to see if we can hit that top mark. We hit a new high, and we'll talk about that later. And then I have a little bit of a thing I'm gonna rant about in this CCP Police segment, and we'll talk about why I think it's bad that players should be able to pay real money and get an advantage in EVE Online.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that at the end.
So we're going to go ahead and do shout-outs, and then we're going to move to our top story. We've already done a bunch of shout-outs, so let me just make sure I haven't missed anybody. I think we've actually... Oh, Minxie subscribed. Let's welcome Minxie on board.
Yes, thank you very much for
joining us.
That
is awesome. And I already gave shout-outs to Wilhelm and Sirhan, and Toxic Bullet followed us, and I think we're good. Diesel 1975. Karma Fleet is recruiting 4 months. Hold it for 24 months. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We've handled shout-outs. We don't want to leave anybody behind. All right. Well, speaking of that, let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's
So
the,
top story, and we click our little top story button because we like it. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Okay, so our top story today is going to be the fall of some old EVE Online alliances. A lot of times, alliances will fail Cascade and they'll disappear rather quickly. Then a lot of times, they just kind of die, but they're not really dead in-game. Like, they're just a shell of their former selves. And one of the first examples of an EVE Alliance that has died officially, publicly announced that they are dead, is Spaceship Samurai, one of the old trader groups.
Wow!
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that is really interesting to me because, you know, Securitas Protector is a old school Kugutsuman shitposter, and he and I go way back. I mean, I think we've actually banned him from this channel in terms of the chat.
Yeah, he can't come on here.
Because of talking shit and things like that. Misa Evil, of course, 23 months. Thank you, man. So what I'm looking for here is, you know, that is curious to me. A lot of alliances will fade out slowly, and there'll be zombies. Corporations do this too. I mean, Rikoku got booted out of Pandemic Legion. At first, I thought that was a joke when we were talking about it on the Meta Show last week, and turns out it was true because it's just a zombie, right? Somebody's got to put it out of its fucking misery and shoot Old Yeller. So, what was your experience with Spaceship Samurai? So they always just sort of took me as like
Spaceship Samurai were like, how do I put this? They were like an alternative to Horde. So they functioned as Horde. They did everything Horde did for the last years. During the Great War and even before the Great War, and it was kind of like a haven for people who got tired of dealing with Horde, as in like the memes and the Reddit and all that shit. They just got tired of the Horde culture and wanted to escape from Horde culture but still do Horde fleets, and that's where Spaceship Samurai was for like the last year. So they were their own selves. They would do like 30-man fleets, 40-man fleets of like Gilas and stuff like that. But when it came down to it, they were basically Horde. Right, and he even mentions in the audio cloud that I just linked the audio soundboard that that's how he's felt. Like they're basically Horde, but he doesn't. You know, he's been a haven for people who wanted to get away from that shit. But the interesting thing is about his closing. So he's apparently starting his doctorate residency. So that's why he's shutting it down officially, according to his SoundCloud. I listened to the whole thing. But I'd say 90% of it was, I don't like PL. I have issues with PL. PL said I could join them and only bring like 10 guys, so fuck that. I know you guys don't like Horde, but we're going to be in the Horde Pet Alliance.
Look at that donation. I've been waiting for this to pop up here. Oh, no, it's just awesome. Like, I'm glad that we can see the text here. Sherar's just waiting as Pathfinder probed my hole. No, the thing about Spaceship Samurai is, you know, honor has always been an appendage, right? They have always been the core of it was a corporation called Concordiate, right. And that was Securitas Protector's thing. And he broke off from Evolution. He was in Evolution, which always put him on the wrong side of the aisle from Goonswarm. Old Bob Corp, obviously. And then they were sort of an appendage, like they were now to Horde, they were an appendage to Brave. For a long time, it was like Honor and Brave sort of rotting in Catch. And so then they basically just kept the same role, and they just moved over to being the appendage of a larger, poorly managed, theoretically newbie-oriented alliance. I mean, it makes sense. I've always been wondering at which point, I mean, Securitas is a doctor, and I'm actually very glad to hear, outside of game stuff, I'm delighted to hear that he is in his residency and thus he has managed to pass his boards and get out of med school. So, that's awesome. Yeah, but you can't be an alliance leader and be in your residency.
Well, he even says in the audio clip that he realized that it was going to be not working when he started getting involved in the diplomacy part of being an alliance leader, and all he wanted to do was FC, and he wasn't able to do that anymore. And so he wants to get back to FCing, where he does like an op a week when he has free time, but he doesn't want to have to deal with all the bullshit. So that's why another reason why he shuts it down. And then, of course, we move on to our next alliance death, which, again, they've been dead for I don't even know how long. One of the core groups of this alliance joined Goons recently. I haven't seen them in a while, though. Is Pizza. Pizza has finally shut down their alliance. Now, they may be remaking it into a new one. I saw a new alliance pop up today with less X's. So they're like Confederation of XXXX Pizza, XXXXXX. And I saw a new one pop up with one character. But yeah, they finally shut down. Dotland has shown it in the link in chat. They're done, so they're dead. There was a post on Reddit, but nobody really said anything else other than you're dead. So that's been a long time coming. They've been dead, I don't know, years.
And When I Am in Space was really the sort of the
yeah,
core
that's
pizza.
Who it was.
A combination of When I Am in Space and Lucia Dinyard were really sort of the big ones. Twizzle Spark is secretly a robot. Thank you, Luminal Flux. That's
yeah. And Sharar, thanks for your other donation. We replayed the animation for it again, so it's wonderful.
So yeah, so pizza. I mean, again, ever since these are sort of like Atlas Alliance. Atlas Alliance is the prototype for what we call the Hold Superman's Cape Alliance, where there's one dude who is the FC, he's the alliance leader, he's the diplomat, he does everything. And when that one dude goes away, everything falls apart, right? Like,
FCON's that current version, I think, right now.
I don't know. I mean, Tarquinius, I'm not really sure on FCON because the corporations have so much power in FCON that, like, it's really hard to tell. Anytime there's councils and democracy and all that stuff. A good example of one that isn't that way is Goonswarm. And Goonswarm has had CEO drama for years until some jerk in a red shirt took over. But like we would cycle through CEOs because random dumb crap would happen. The CEOs would try to disband the alliance. Some would do so successfully, and the institutions that were set up by the director would keep on going. So
speaking of bad CEOs, I remember a CEO named Zafawork who said at one point, "We no longer want to do strategic ops. So we're going to go back to just having fun and riding bikes forever. And I'm banning all strategic ops, and I'm banning the war room."
Yeah, that's right. Zafawork got rid of the war room, and he was the only CEO. Zafawork, I love him actually. His name is Dave.
Hey, he's a great guy,
a good buddy of mine, and he actually founded, in many ways, in the modern era, what we call Eve Vegas is because of Zafawork. And Zafawork was CEO for like 3 months, maybe only 2 months.
Yeah, it was
and made Cartoon CEO, who then proceeded to try to destroy Goonswarm. So that was a mess. But anyway, the bigger news, though, regardless of pizza, is escalating entropy.
Yeah, escalating entropy's dead. Like, this is a shocker to me. This like slipped under my radar until a few hours ago. I saw a post, and we've linked it here now in chat, by Sister Bliss about them being dead, the end of the Coleslaw War, as he called it, and the end of escalating entropy. But the interesting thing about escalating entropy is that when they dropped that Q-Star, they dropped like 300 people, and capitals, and supers, and even titans. And everyone, including PL, saw this as the next big group to watch out for in LoSec. Them and Shadow Cartel, they kind of paved the way for people to open their eyes to carriers only, right? So they dropped their carriers only and defended a Keepstar in the face of 2,000 subcaps. Something that CCP said would never happen again. And so everyone saw them as like the next big thing. And over the last months, they've been nothing. Like, they can't form subcap fleets.
Well, I mean, one of the things about escalating entropy is, now, to be fair, guys, and correct me in chat if I'm wrong, which I might be, because I am not the biggest expert in the universe when it comes to low-sec politics, but escalating entropy in many ways was formed out of the ashes of other balkanized low-sec entities murdering each other. So Shadow Cartel versus Snuffbox, right. Once there was that whole ganking thing. A lot of entities from what we would call like the edgelord elite PvP groups ended up in escalating entropy. And that's why everybody thought it would be really strong on the one hand, because they had a lot of really good PvPers. And on the other hand, though, they didn't really have a core strong leader.
Yeah, they didn't have any leadership structures, what I was told. And from people I've talked to, they were basically Shadow Cartel pets for the last month. They just did whatever Shadow Cartel wanted.
Exactly. And that's a good question in chat. What will happen to their Keepstar? And that's a very good question. I don't know the answer to it yet, but we will find out.
Reports are that it'll probably be sold. That's what I was getting this week when I asked about it.
Shirar is asking a good question here, which is, wait, somebody said it was a big group to watch out for in LoSec. It was actually one of the weird things in the casino war environment when these guys were having infinite ISK, because everybody who was on the side against the Imperium was getting infinite cheated ISK from these now banned casinos. But they played a big part in that war. Now, because people actually have to make money and pay for it, and LoSec is pretty broke, right? Like, you don't really make crazy money in LoSec, so unless you're having casino money backing you, you can't just throw super capitals around easily. And so it does seem like things have sort of reduced in relevance in a lot of ways there. It is just curious to see, though. But there was a brief period of time where LoSec was talking about forming Voltron and all this other stuff, and then they just sort of went back to creating the circular firing squad that we all are used to. All right, so that's escalating entropy.
I will say the escalating entropy for lows going. Oh, they're just a low sector.
Oh God!
Oh
sorry.
God!
I just saw this donation that came.
Fabio, thank you, Fabio.
God, guys, I play Eve, and I play Eve and join Pandemic Horde. I made a new slogan: Pandemic Horde. I can't believe it's not better. Yeah, or Gobbins.
Thanks, Fabio.
I also can't believe it's not better.
But yeah, so the escalating entropy of these things funny too because they tried to invade. They tried to invade Syndicate, and as every single alliance that has invaded Syndicate against Initiative has died, every one of them. Like
People always underestimate the initiative. We talked about this last week too. Is like with brave newbies now rushing to
catch,
go huddle under test skirts in catch. Excellent, thank you for the follow, both of you. Huddle under the skirts and catch. It's like, okay, why do people underestimate the initiative? It's basically like picking a fight with a badger. Technically speaking, a badger is a small animal, and I am a human and thus a lot bigger than a badger. But I wouldn't get in a fight with a fucking badger, even if it's a small animal.
Oh yeah, totally agreed, 100%. There's a lot of small animals that are like that. You just don't touch them. They'll murder you.
Exactly. Sandwich is pointing out here in chat that you've got L5 admissions in LoSec, which is more than enough ISK. It is more than enough ISK for individuals, but not to support the kind of capital, super capital, keepstar level strategic combat. It is a good point, though. You can make personal money in ISK in LoSec. But speaking of personal things, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about Twizzlespark here. He is staying up super, super late.
Yeah, so we're going to get to him really, we got one last thing for our top story. Another alliance that might be having a problem here is Code. Code got robbed. 500 billion. If you look at Reddit...
Is there a Reddit link there?
Yeah, I got a Reddit link for this. I don't know if this is real or not. I've been trying to get it confirmed. I've asked 10 different people. They've all said real, and 10 other people say it's not real, so who knows. But this is what we got. A guy named Jason Cruson, who's one of the leaders in Code, next to James 315, has stolen 500 billion in assets. I don't know if he stole ISK. But yes, 500 billion, Sherrard. That's what we're looking at. It's fitted ships, loot. One of the loot that struck me as a instant holy shit was 18 billion in geckos, 257 geckos.
Ooh man! Oh! Well, let's pay our respects. Code has worked with the Ministry of Love quite a lot over the years. I see RIP Code here in chat. Let's either press F to pay our respects or type in RIP Code.
So I'm gonna
RIP Code as we move on to.
Yeah, so we're gonna get Twizzlespark in here. I haven't told him to come down, but let me go grab him.
We're literally going to.
I don't have a segment yet for doing the international part. So I'm gonna get an image for this, but we're gonna have a new segment now called the International Players of INN, or maybe we'll call it International Players of Goonswarm.
International News Hour.
International.
We'll figure it out.
We're
gonna
get
brand
new. This just happened 30 minutes ago.
Live.
Just found out about it. So hi Twizzlespark, we dragged you in here because we're gonna get you out of here quick because we don't want to keep you up too late. But yeah, so we'll be we're gonna be moving into our international part, and our first member is from South Korea. Twizzlespark. He runs the corporation called Dokdo, and we're gonna discuss what it's like to play Eve from Korea because we have a lot of U.S. people, we have a lot of Europeans. But we don't know much about Korean players.
Imperium brings you the world. Actually, that's
yes. The Imperium brings you the world. Great name.
As their Raven actually says, the Imperium brings you the world. We should totally do that as a. I love that. That is a really good idea. So here's what we're gonna do. I want to, as a sign of respect to the international community, first, we're basically just going to shut up and let Twizzlespark talk. He's going to tell us about what it's like running his corporation, what EVE players in Korea are like, what his corporation is like. He's going to do this in English for us and maybe tell us whatever the hell you feel like telling us about what's going on in the Korean community in EVE Online on Tranquility. And then feel free to do the same thing in your own language and not speak English, and just let our international players know what's going on in their own tongue.
Okay, so obviously Korea is one of the AU time zone countries, and the community. It's not the most exciting time zone. It's the time zone where a lot of people are at, and you go and bash pause when everyone's sleeping. It's that kind of time. So I'm really glad that INN is looking into getting more involved with international players like Koreans and possibly Chinese or Russian. A little bit about Korean community and other communities in general is that They're much smaller than English-speaking communities, but they all have a lot of stories and history behind things. Almost all of them have two distinct like factions. For example, like Koreans have like this Eve Gallery dudes against like the other guys. The Japanese have the Caladrius Alliance and Vox Populi. I'm not really sure how to pronounce their name, but all of these communities have their own history.
Like PLA and fraternity on
PLA and fraternity,
Yep.
The most famous example would be the Russians, XIX and the Steinwagen rivalry. So anyways,
can you tell us about when you say that there's usually a split in these communities, can you tell us about the main factions of the Korean player base in particular?
Oh, okay. So, long time ago, like Koreans are the kind of people who really think that Koreans should all band together and make a unified effort to do things.
That's
But at the
normal. I
same
think Red
time,
Alliance did that back in the day. Yeah.
It doesn't really work because there's a lot of conflicts and of interest involved. One of the things that went on in Korean Eve community is that there was a big drama and it led to a legal conflict.
Really?
One side suing the other. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Like actual litigation.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I wasn't around at that time, but that one event pretty much sparked the whole thing about Korean community being split up into two. So that's one of the more interesting stories about.
What was it? What was the lawsuit about? This is fascinating.
I think spreading false rumor or something. So
Oh wow!
he actually sued the dude. I think he wasn't found guilty
That's
because it's
amazing.
a video game, but it's stupid because people fought over video games and they sued each other, right?
That's like more litigious than in America.
Yeah, that's like that guy
America's
from
the most
Texas.
litigious society I thought in the world, but that is fascinating. So somebody is saying, and I'm guessing they might be Korean because they appear to have a Korean name here in chat, saying it was a suit involving perjury.
Yeah, that's interesting. Wow! Like, holy crap!
Yeah, I'm not really completely sure of what it was about, but what is certain is that that's the one main driver in the Korean community that's making the divide right now. But,
So what side are our guys on?
Our guys, we used to, and we are still against people who've sued the other side because like that's not cool, right? You can fight over things in the internet, but you shouldn't like sue each other. But
there's a faction in the Korean community that is is basically saying the lawsuit was a good idea and they're in favor of that lawsuit.
No, there's the other faction is the guys who sued the other side, right?
I'm just surprised that the other
That's
faction
just
is
amazing.
a bunch of people who are like, it was totally legit to do that. So I'm glad to hear that our guys are the ones who are like, you guys are being stupid. Why the hell are you suing somebody over a computer game? Those are the guys I want to have in our alliance in the Imperium. So
Right.
So someone's saying in chat we should sue Lemba for stealing the corp name.
no, we shouldn't because we're goddamn adults.
But as with most things, it's a conflict that happened like 5 years ago or something.
Well, it's like the Great War in the English.
Yeah, it turns into
right?
something else, though.
So if you were to joke about this and say it in Korean, how would you make jokes about it?
I wouldn't, because people are really sensitive about it.
Oh wow!
Interesting. Is that like a cultural thing? Like so the wounds are still raw about this litigation?
Yeah, and it's really interesting from a diplomat's perspective as well, because it started off as that one event, and then it built on as changing into something else.
So Mingxi has a good question here in chat for you, which is: do members of the Korean Eve community tend to have alts and non-Korean corps as a general rule, or are they mostly combined in Korean focused corporations?
We are usually most focused in. We usually play together because of the language barrier. Like all the Koreans saying that they don't speak English, they're not lying, but they do understand it. So that's why we have people in Goonstorm participating in fleets and everything. But people in general, Korean people in general, tend to like to stick with Korean corporation.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
it seems like that with a lot of the Asian groups. Like they'll stick to their one little group, whereas Russians, sometimes you'll see Russians in Gunfleet and Murchi and all these other places. Whereas with a lot of the Asian corps, they seem to be in one centralized place usually, like PLA for example.
I think that's normal even for the Eastern European corporations. I mean, language barriers, like, basically, like, this is the thing that I've seen in the broad scope of history at EVE, where back in the day, there was only Red Alliance. And then the original two-part schism of EVE players in the Russian community was Red Alliance and then Against All Authorities, right? So you had Evil Thugs group, and then you had, and Evil Thug, AAA back in the day is what we now call, like, Stainwagon as a whole. But when there is not enough players of any one language group or nationality, they tend to stick together, and then there is often, like Twistlespark saying, this two parts. It gets big enough for people to argue over who's in charge, and there's a split. But what happened with the Russian player base is there's actually so many Russians now that merely being a Russian as an EVE player isn't enough to make people stick together. Kim Jong-un says, "I played League of Legends and players made fun of me and gave no great respect. I sue again next time also." That's awesome.
The one before that was better though. The notion right before that. The
Stainwagon, how we got our name. We used to play Oregon Trail and always got dysentery and stained our wagons. That's good. So that is fascinating. So Twistlespark, just to show some respect for our Korean community, why don't you either? I mean, I don't know what the hell you want to say, but
do like a recruitment speech in Korean.
Yeah, actually tell let's we can I imagine that most of the Korean community is asleep right now, but we can actually make a clip of this. So in Korean on live TV, why don't you talk about why your corporation Dodco in Goonswarm is awesome and why your side is. Well, I don't know whether you want to say your side is the better side or not because people are sensitive, but go nuts. The floor is yours.
All right, I'll keep it short because I'm sure 99% of the viewers aren't going to understand.
You have 3 minutes.
Go.
일단 한국인 저기 군수험에 있는 독도 허브는요. 널색에서 지금 여러 가지 컨텐츠를 즐기면서 여러 가지 다른 나라의 사람들하고 어울리면서 게임을 할 수 있는 기회를 제공하고 있는 재밌는 컵입니다. 지금 저희는 이렇게 너무 이렇게 오픈하게 리크루팅을 하지는 않고 있는데 항상 잘하는 친구보다는 재미있고 잘 어울릴 수 있는 그런 친구들을 찾으려고 노력을 하는 중이고요. 많은 관심을 가져주시고 만약에 한번 관심 있으시다면은 저희 퍼블릭 채널에 한번 들리시면은 성의 없게 답변 드리겠습니다.
Yay! We got Korean on the Meta Show for the first time.
That is awesome, actually. One of the things that I think we miss out on in EVE Online, one of the reasons why I'm really excited about this project, is we have a vast international community in the Imperium and in EVE itself. We can go all over the world and find our people everywhere, and yet because of the dominance of English speaking across nationalities, we don't often get a chance to hear native speakers. I mean, Korean sounds fascinating. I believe it's a tonal language.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't get to hear that often. And I love the loan words. Like, we're going to hear people speaking in other languages, and they're talking about, like in Russian, this will happen all the time. Is like you're just hearing a bunch of Russian, and then you hear "dreadnought" or something.
Yeah,
like that.
That happens in like if I watch anime, like you'll instead of saying "thank you" in Japanese, like they'll say "thank you," but it has like an S in it instead of a T. It's like "thank you." It's so great. I love it.
I just want to give shout outs to Twistlespark for joining us. I know it is very late over there. He has stayed up until like what time is it?
5 a.m.
It's 6:40 here.
Oh,
there you go. Okay, so I want to everybody. Let's throw some Black Eagles to show some support for Twistlespark. Thank you so much for coming here. We're going to let you get to bed, and soon we're going to have some international streamers playing EVE from our community on INN. So stay tuned. This will be a regular segment. So thank you so much, Twistlespark, and get some rest.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Twizzle. Okay. Thank you, Twizzle.
We're gonna let him log off and pray for death. Staying up late like that is pretty tough. All right, well, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really awesome. I liked it.
So this is another thing that I'm excited about with this, is that there are, I believe, EVE is a game about conflict and competition. It's the most competitive game the world has ever seen. Many people don't realize it, and it's all over the world. And so there are these stories within the international community. Like, I had no idea until TwizzleSpark told us that there was a civil war based upon past litigation of all things. And that is amazing. I mean, I just can't imagine the kind of, like, imagine the Great War if, like, Band of Brothers and Goonswarm had sued one another. Just the sheer amount of enmity and spite.
Oh, yeah.
That would be, like, even worse. That would be amazing. So that's really cool, and we're going to hope to have sort of a window into all of our international community on the Meta Show. We're going to do this as a regular segment, and you'll get to hear about cool stuff.
I'm going to get angry at our capital training guys. They're like, hey, we're going to fight at that boss we fought at last time. So I've been sitting here waiting for the fight to happen, and apparently they're fighting somewhere else in space.
Are you going to chase them down?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out where they are.
Boat is going to go chase them down.
And we'll move to Nullsec Power Hour while we're doing this, so let me find that button.
We can get some more screen space also, since TwizzleSpark is... remove that from the overlay. So while Boat is doing that, Bastion Arc is following us. We, of course, had the... Yeah, okay, so we're caught up on shout-outs. Yeah, that was really interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing. I'm not sure who we'll have on next week. It would be interesting to hear.
Yeah, I'll find someone. I think
Chinese community.
I think I might try and get PLA guy. Yeah, the CEO.
Getting a PLA guy would be fantastic. If we have a lot of people who are getting people who are from mainland China on stream is, of course, very difficult. But we have a lot of people in the Chinese-speaking community who are in Singapore or who are in Hong Kong who we can get access to. So that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to make sure we know the person too, because since it's a foreign language and I'll have no idea what they're saying. They could be saying something really, really racist or bad and get us banned.
We trust.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to be very careful who I select to come on. That's for sure. But yeah, we move into Nullsec Power Hour, and right away we're gonna talk about either the most glorious of scams or the greatest way to get a whole bunch of money really quickly, and that is Squiz. For those who don't know, Squiz runs Z-Killboard. And if you've never seen Z-Killboard, it is amazing. A lot of people use it in this game because killboards are aids, and they're really hard to come up with or code or keep working. I mean, I think we've gone through like 8 iterations because developers just say, fuck it, it's terrible. But he's kept his running for a long time, and it's very accurate and very good and a great way to like look things up. So what does he do? Well, he takes his wonderful invention, that is the killboard, that most of EVE uses, and makes a sponsorship ability to where you can put Z-Kill kills to the front page. So think Imager for killboards. And you just pay a set amount of ISK, and if your ISK is higher than all the ISK on the first 5 kills, well, then your kill mode gets on the front page. For example, there was a Drake on there last week for like 4 billion ISK. It was great.
That is really cool. I'm gonna actually take a look at that right now. So I think that's great. This is a thing that the community asked for, and here's the thing: like, Z-Killboard is a reference portal, right? And just in terms of traffic on this, right? Like, it's sort of just one big database, and whenever there's a big kill, there's a huge rush on those servers. And we run at Imperium News Network, of course, a media site, so people will come, they'll read an article. The traffic is fairly evenly spaced, but we also have a lot of levers we can pull. I'm pretty sure that he has pretty hefty server bills.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking about like more than $1,000 a month, but he could easily be racking up between $800 and $1,000 a month in hosting. And I think this is really cool that he has responded to the community. Like, some people will, say, I think the dude made this website, and on top of Z-Killboard being awesome, and I think Squiz deserves every bit of this that people choose to give him, right? He's given them a service. They are choosing to throw money at the screen. He's not putting anything behind a paywall. And on top of it, just another reason why Z-Killboard and this service is awesome is this is all open source. Right, he's not trying to, like, you could literally spin up your own Z-Killboard right now because of the good work that Squiz has put into the community. I think there's actually a link on there. And the other thing about it is you can see from Z-Killboard right up at the top You have it has Tranquility status. It shows how many people are logged in right now. We've already broken 40K people online on Tranquility right now. It's a great time to be an EVE player. I mean, the alpha clone thing has worked out well. The soft system blows ass. Fuzzy Sov is shit. It should all just be moved to Citadels, I believe. Speaking of, I think we need to add this to the CCP Please area, because once we get there, which will be soon, is CSM minutes have come out.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Some people were reading them. I didn't go through them because that was too much.
That's okay. We will talk about it there, and if there's something that you guys want to talk about on the CSM, in chat we have a nominate here, and the silly season for the CSM is about to begin. Candidacy application period is over, so we are going into the electoral cycle, boys and girls. We're going to make New Eden great again.
Yeah, so I'm bad and I missed the fight. Apparently they were fighting at 1-1, not 2-1 like they told me. Oh well. They're gonna
that's because we were busy listening to
Lovely Korean.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's go to the Nullsec Power Hour. Let's do it. Well, we're already there.
Yeah, we're already there. Yeah, we already did the transition, everything. So the Squiz thing is amazing because in the first 2 days of him having this up, he made 44 billion ISK. He's made close to 100 billion since it started. People are just throwing money at. Now, of course, the novelty will wear out, but the man made 100 billion ISK. That's nothing to laugh at, Eve. That's a lot of money.
He deserves it.
And he even said that. I mean, he's cool about it too. Like, he doesn't need to RMT it because, well, he doesn't need to RMT it.
It's only 100 billion.
Right. He even said that he doesn't plan on giving it to any major group. What he'll probably do with it is use what he needs, because he does. All he ever does is undock and Vegeta and kill people on the 4-4 undock. Like, that's his fun in EVE. So he doesn't need a lot of money for it. He doesn't need money for it. And so he said he'll probably just donate it to the Plex for Good, which is the CCP thing. So this way, it'll at least go to something beneficial.
I think that's fantastic, and it's a good thing that we want to distinguish here, is there is a difference between a site that people are willingly donating money to, not harnessing an addiction, right? It's not a casino. You can't launder money through Zkillboard, because
he made that clear too.
Is very clearly you yourself are choosing just for pride to show off a fancy kill. So you're not exploiting anybody, and again, like. I don't think we give enough shout-outs, right? Sometimes, it's very easy to see people doing bad things in EVE and saying, that guy sucks, and let's condemn this action. But Squiz is awesome, Zkillboard is awesome. Great move, fully support it, high fives all around.
Because that's where the news comes in, right? Like, a lot of the news that makes the front page of Reddit, or even the last 7 days, I go through all 7 days, like 5,000 posts a week or something, is all bad usually. It's kill mails, right? Because kill mails are inherently bad. People die. So that's when
I think killers are great.
Well, I love kill mails, yeah, but I mean, like, that's when you'll see them as like, oh, someone blew up, so that's the news. But yeah, so speaking of kill mails, a great segue into our next piece.
Oh, man.
This is a pun for our title of this next one that someone, I think it was Rust, came up with right after it happened during an op, where he says, PLA gets killed by PL, eh? And he said it in a very Canadian voice, and it was wonderful.
Wow!
And so
this is here. I got the link right here.
Perfect.
I'll drop it in here. This is so it is interesting actually. Asher's Jackdaw should probably be number 1 on Zkill forever. Asher did in fact lose a Jackdaw. It was the most serious loss in the Casino War. We're still upset about it. But yeah, so Rorquals here. I mean, this was a unfortunate situation in Delve. Baited out a couple of dreads there, wormhole action, and by the time that this guy was able to communicate, then all of his crap was dead.
Well, so yeah, what happened with him too is he was the guy that was doing this. I think it was one guy or a couple guys only spoke Chinese. And the thing with PLA is they do have a lot of translators that are on in certain time zones, but their translator was not available. So this guy, being Chinese only speaking, lit a Sino on all 7 characters like he was supposed to. He thought he was in the right fleet. He was in the wrong fleet. So what does he do? He panics, drops fleet. Well, when you drop fleet with a Sino up and you join a new fleet, the Sino no longer works.
Right.
And since he had already done it on all 7 Rorquals, there was no way to get a Sino up. So as water is wet, Chinese-speaking people struggling to speak English to an English FC, it just doesn't work, and he lost all 7. And then PL snuck out. And actually, it was interesting, the way PL got out with all their T3s alive is they abandoned all of the things that can't take a bridge. So, like a Redeemer bridge, they brought in a Redeemer from the wormhole, and then bridged all their T3s out with the covert mod to, like, sneak them back out to the wormhole, and left everything behind and said, fuck it, those things are dead. And just kind of abandoned them. So they left the dreads, they left the command ships, the dictors, and all that stuff in that part of Delve. So
I thought it was an interesting kill. I mean, that's
yeah.
the thing, is that especially when you're first getting dropped, panicking and lighting the sign of the wrong fleet, realizing you don't have the fuel for it, things like that. There's a lot of Rorquals dying. Yes, and also Arindus points out in chat that he panicked, meaning that he activated the panic button on the Rorquals, making them invulnerable for 7.5 minutes. Not that he lost his shit in chat or anything.
Yeah. He used all 7 panic mods because they went down the list and just primaried them, and so we had 7 minutes to get to them. But with the Sino already being lit and in the wrong fleet, it messed up. So I got the kill mills here for the next Rorqual batch. These are
more dead Rorquals. Yeah,
so first it was 7, then 10. NC Dot dropped on a FCON Rorqual fleet, and then I believe some randoms from Wormhole Space did it next. So FCON following in the footsteps of everyone else in Eve that rats with 10 Rorquals with no support fleet nearby. You're going to lose your Rorquals. I solo around in a Rorqual hoping it would die. No one's killed it yet, sadly. But there are situations where if you are mining by yourself in some dead-end system and you think, oh, I could just mine here forever, a wormhole's going to open up. Axe Chung, a wormhole group, I think I'm saying that correctly, I don't know. Inner Hell, and there's like one other major wormhole group that's all they're doing is coming out of a wormhole. They roll wormholes till they find a place they can go hunting, and they'll come get your Rorqual. And Rorquals only work if they're in siege. So it's not like you're going to go anywhere.
Well, we have we've got sort of a segue here of FCON getting killed, and I'm going to segue from FCON getting killed into, here's a link, FCON getting killed and farmed by their allies in Triumvirate, which is something that our enemies in the not-so-money Badger Coalition seem to have learned the hard way. I mean, we said for a long time that these people are not really allies and that they are going to hunt each other for sport rather than being good friends in any way. And if you check that link, there's Triumvirate, who FCON betrayed Stainwagon to buddy up to Triumvirate when Triumvirate threatened them, and instead of working with Stainwagon, and then Triumvirate is, of course, killing FCON for sport. So, I think our official stance on that is fuck FCON.
Yeah, so the story behind this was actually even better. So apparently it was an FCON renter, like Army of something or other, got tackled.
Any Badger Coalition sure are. Any Badger Coalition.
So FCON, like this renter gets tackled. FCON warped in carriers to save the renter. And then the carriers got tackled by Tri, because Tri's like, oh, free carrier kills. So then FCON brings a real fleet, and then FCON gets dumped there too. So it's like everything FCON did was a waste of fucking space, and they got that.
So we're running out of time, so we're going to move forward pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're going to go quick.
The next one, before we go to CCP, please, is some alliance did a thing. But
so the Good Swarm Stock Exchange has hit 24,000
the
as
Goon
of today.
Industrial Index.
The Goon Industrial Index it succeeded 24,000. I don't know if we're on our way to 30,000 and breaking that record, but
Goonhammer 40K.
The official number is 24,011. So
I was actually looking at Aerolafay subscribed 22 months in a row. That's awesome.
But the Good Industrial Index. We'll just report on it once a week.
We gotta have some sort of a placeholder for Jones, like Goon something or other, whatever. We'll figure it out. But the point, congrats on recruiting all of Jita. That's ascendancy there.
That's another milestone, man. We've
Morning Goonstar. That's right. Yeah, exactly.
To give you an idea of comparison, the next closest is 12,400, and that's Pandemic Horde, and that's all Pandemic Horde. So they're nowhere. Like, we're double that now.
The Goonhammer hungers. Well, it's interesting because one of the things I should give a shout out to our enemies is as follows. If it wasn't for all of Eve using cheated ISK to try to go after the Imperium, we would have never been able to forge the Goonhammer. If it wasn't for Fozzie tweeting at us about how he was going to change the system to, you shouldn't be able to, like when we announced that we were forging the Goonhammer and we're just going to let our allies that were leaving the Imperium bring their corporations into Goonswarm, Fozzie almost immediately tweeted that if you try to do this to, you can't cut funding, you'll pay for this. Basically, like if you try to pull everybody into one alliance, we might change the mechanics on you. And basically that taught our people in Goonswarm basically screw all you guys. Like, if we're going to treat our allies right, unlike our enemies who are allies, in theory allies, and they're cannibalizing each other, just like Triumvirate and FCON a few minutes ago, we've seen over and over and over again, our foes are friends, but they murder each other and treat each other poorly. So we brought them all into Goonswarm. And if it wasn't for the casino war, and if it wasn't for Fozzie tweeting that, that would have never been imaginable 5 years ago. It would have been civil war.
Before we slide on to the CCP Play segment, this just happened, and I want to share this because it's glorious.
Oh, baby. Okay, what do we got?
So, you remember Nink and the ninking that used to happen? PL just lost a jump raider to an out-of-sight Nink.
Wow.
In Pure Blight, it looks like he was on a gate with his jump raider. Of course, Theo killed the Dread, but it's just really funny that jump.
Ninking is always interesting. So
yeah, that just happened. So I thought that was funny.
So yeah, segue. Yeah. I think we'll go to CCP Please now that we've talked about the Goonhammer, because these are two great tastes that taste great together. Let's see some graphics.
I want some more.
This is my favorite transition.
It is. It's the best. All right, so we have two pieces of CCP Please. The first one we'll get through real quick. Has to do with eVegas and FanFest. For those that don't know, there are special edition ships coming to eVegas and eFanFest if you attend those events. There are Concorde ships. They are Concorde battleship, cruiser, and frigate. You can only attain like the frigate if you go to, I think, Vegas, and then the cruiser if you go to FanFest. And if you go to both, you get both, all three, and the battleship, or whatever. Basically, the way it works is you attend those events, or you purchase the ticket and attend the event, and you get those ships. Now, the thing that's kind of disappointing about this is there's no like timeline on when normal players will get it. So this battleship is going to be the king of the crop. Like, it's going to be the best battleship money can buy. Right? They're going to be a limited number of them, but there's going to be really powerful. So places like HighSec and LowSec are going to get a huge advantage if they get like 10, 15, 20 of these. Now, they'll be expensive, so if you lose one, that's 10 billion probably out the door. But I think this is the first time that CCP's done a very limited ship that's better than all the other ships for people that pay real money, right? So if you have the money to spend to go to FanFest, well, you're getting a fancy ship. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I mean, I think, most of these things, they end up on the market, but in the past, like, they've given away skins for most of these events, but it's the first time we've seen them actually give away ships. We'll have to see the stats. I mean, if we don't know the stats for it yet, we can't really see how OP it's going to be.
Yeah, these are straight up new ships. Well, they said they're going to be powerful. They said this at Vegas. When we were in Vegas, they talked about it.
When CCP says that something is going to be powerful, we don't know whether that's actually in practice going to happen, because, half of the ships in the game. So the other thing that we want to talk about here real quick in our last few minutes is the CSM stuff. So we have the CSM minutes have come out, and there's been some chatter about what's happening there. There was, of course, the controversy we addressed last week talking about the monthly economic report no longer including regional data, and people were up in arms about that, about the CSM, and we revealed live on the Meta Show that Aerith and crew were claiming responsibility for that. But the other thing about this is we are going to the election season. We now have applications for the CSM have finished. So now 10 people are going to go to Iceland. All 10 members of the CSM will go to Iceland. There is no more permanent attendee nonsense. And it looks like turnout is going to be, certain major alliances aren't really pushing the CSM this year. And we're talking about the Goonhammer being forged earlier. Of course, Goonswarm has, the Imperium as a whole has a finely tuned electoral ballot whipping system. We love democracy. We democracy harder than everybody else. We just don't allow democracy within the Imperium itself. It's one of those things. We'll just beat everybody at democracy with the power of autocracy. So it's going to be really interesting. This is the first time that we have had many of the structures in the Imperium over the last year didn't exist for the last CSM election. We didn't have fireside chats. We didn't have the Goonhammer. And it's just going to be fascinating, I think, to see how this one plays out. All politics, all space politics.
Yeah, I don't ever get involved in politics and spaceships the same as politics in real life, because it's all confusing. Like, people say, like, they try to do these, like, campaigns. I don't know if it actually works or not in HighSec or not, but it seems like people actually run on a real campaign, like, platform, and people legitimately fall for that bullshit.
Is it still space democracy if we just agree and love our autocrat? Well, we like we say every election, we want in the we always say this for every election is that please exercise your right to democracy and to freedom and exercise your freedom of will by doing exactly what we tell you in exactly the way we tell you to do it. And we can't control what people vote, but it seems like people like to work towards a common cause. Imagine that.
I like to think of it like Chinese democracy. It's the People's Republic of Gunsar Federation. I mean, there's still an autocracy there.
Chairman El Mao, that's me.
Chairman El Mittens. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. El Mayo, I should say.
You can, or like the North Korean vote. It's still a democracy. You can still vote for someone legitimately go and cast your vote, but there's only one man on the ballot, right? There's no change.
Back in the old CSM campaigns that I was running, Stalrigan did actually have Maoist propaganda with me photoshopped as Mao.
Yes,
and Chairman El Mayo.
Yeah. This just in: Culture dropped dreads on. Looks like Horde, and they're losing caps. Horde lost caps.
Horde lost caps.
Yes.
Culture.
It looks like Culture might be losing dreads. Yet one dread dead from Culture so far on Zkill. So looks like Culture dropped 20 dreads, and they might be losing them all. Well,
it's a hot time tonight here in New Eden. We have, after all, 40,000 people.
Yeah, it looks like Horde lost 6 dreads in carriers so far, and Culture is losing theirs. So this will be interesting. Gotcha. Oh man. So yeah, spicy Eve as we end the meta show. We come to an end.
Excellent. Well, what's up next? But what are we going to be streaming next?
So I don't know yet. I might do World of Warships because I'm taking a break from other games that I've been playing lately, and so I think I'm going to do World of Warships for 2 hours. And I like torpedoing people.
Boats.
I don't know what's more
torpedoing people.
Yeah,
is
it's
awesome.
just really satisfying to see this guy run around his big shiny battleship he probably just got, and then 8 torpedoes roll up his ass. It just sinks. Because my aircraft carrier is a million miles away.
What's your favorite destroyer?
Oh, it's not a destroyer; it's an aircraft carrier.
You're using a carrier.
Yeah.
Sky Cancer.
Yes, okay. I have Sky Cancer. I come in with like bombers and then torpedo run them, and it's just it's disturbingly awesome fun.
Sadis wants to division up with you, so we will be headed now to
the boat show. Yeah, so
thank you all for coming. And one final thing, again, I'm just going to promote relentlessly, never not shameless plug. Imperium News. We are looking for writers. We just spun up a new editorial team, our 5th editorial team, which is pretty awesome. And we are looking for more streamers, in particular Eve streamers and international streamers. We would love to have you. So follow that link if you would like to get involved with Fear and Balance News. And we are now going to head on. Oh, that's Zedia, not Sadis.
That's Zedia. I don't know who Zedia is, but I thought that was Sadis because the names are similar.
Slightly different.
Yeah, it's slightly different. Okay.
Fake news, alternative.
The boat show time! Oh, I did fake news on Twitter. Actually, some people got really springy. One last thing before we go to the boat show here. Eve News 24 is getting shit on this week. Like, just crushed from Reddit about their just obsessiveness with INN.
Well, it's that one dude.
Goons.
It's Seraph Basarab. It's not really Eve News 24.
Well,
like,
okay.
To be fair, and you'll never hear me say this, to be fair to Salvar Hardin at Eve News 24, who mostly churns out battle reports, it does seem like it's pretty much just like the Salvar and Seraph shop.
Okay.
But that dude is nuts, and we keep our hands off that because it's nice to see. If we pointed at him and said this guy sucks, everybody would be like, oh well, goons say he sucks and is crazy, so obviously he can't be that crazy. But we've sort of kept our hands off. He's like ranting about INN.
Let him be crazy
on Eve News 24 all the time, and people are beginning to wake up and realize on his own merits that the dude is a nutcase. So we just try to stay. We're just kind of trying to stay well away from that. All right, boys and girls.
Bye.
Goodbye. Good luck, and we'll see you for the boat show right after this.
You are about to receive messages that may be harmful to your mental state. Your sense of reality will be questioned. Your view on things will be altered. You are now part of the meta. The meta controls everything. The meta determines what will and will not happen. You are watching the Meta Show.